Thank you for staying with us. The Yuletide is a time for celebration, but it also poses significant safety challenges, particularly when managing large gatherings. Crowd management is crucial to preventing overcrowding and ensuring attendees' safety through effective planning processes. The recent tragic incident in Ibadan, Oyo State capital, where a stampede resulted in loss of lives, leaving families in mourning, shows the importance of prioritizing safety measures when dealing with large crowds. Joining us via Zoom to discuss more on this is safety and security expert Taiwo Ogberu. Good morning. Thank you for joining us.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. Now, a really sad incident, that of what happened in Ibadan, and we want to pick the lessons there, especially for those who will be having large gatherings in times like this and even beyond now. From your perspective, what do you think happened? Was it the fact that these people did not properly plan, or that something just went wrong? From your perspective as a safety expert, talk to us what you're seeing was the missing gap in planning this event.
Okay, thank you for having me. First and foremost, I would like to express my heartfelt condolence to the Oyo State government, the family of the deceased. May Almighty God bear them, grant them to bear the loss. And it's a very unfortunate incident. And I would just remind us that we had a similar incident happened in when a church organized free food for people, and the event is supposed to start around 9 a.m. And based on investigation after the incident, people have gotten to the venue as early as 2 a.m. and like 33 lives was lost, were injured. And what's the learning point? People come up with good intentions to reach out to the vulnerables, but without adequate planning, no matter how good your intention is, it can result into chaos. Now, if you're planning an event of this magnitude, there's what we call risk assessment. And during your risk assessment, you be able to identify the risk involved in the event, then you'll be able to profile mitigative measures to reduce the risk, to ensure that, because when you're doing risk assessment, there's high risk, medium risk, and low risk. So for you to say that an event is safe to be carried out, you need to be sure that the risk involved has been reduced at least to the lowest level. Now, coming to this event in Ibadan, bringing children together for fun fair is a good event, but looking at the modality the program was organized, from inception, I've actually sent a pointer that there might be such a disaster, because you actually invited children to a secondary school in Ibadan, an Islamic high school in Ibadan. And this could fall under Ibadan Northeast local government. And when you tell people that they should come and take free items, and you are even adding monetary incentive, telling them that apart from the food item, you are getting 5,000 naira, and you didn't put measures in place to actually streamline the number of participants, rest assured that you'll be overwhelmed with the number of people you get at the event. So adequate planning is highly essential when you're planning this kind of program. And that planning goes around your risk assessment, your ability to identify the risk involved and mitigate against it. Now, the first thing is access control. Is there access control? What are the program registration process that they adopted? Are parents meant to register their kids online prior to the event? Or do the registration module covers, do they get those participants for this fun fair from their CDAs, from their community development association in each area? So we need to understand the modules they use, because basically you need to have a pre-event registration module that will streamline to the numbers of participants you want. so that you will not have this kind of recurrence in future. Now, if you look at the, I saw the pictures online. I couldn't. There are no adequate. For example, there's no first aid facility even on the at the venue in the event of any medical emergency, and it's it's the unfortunate incident. But when there is no adequate planning, things like this can't be averted. So for future purpose, I think at the government level and even organizers, NGOs that want to organize this kind of program, they need to sit down and carry out their due diligence, identify the risk involved, and mitigate against it because apparently they went on radio to announce that they want to do this kind of program. I think some days to the program, the organizer of the program, the ex-wife of the Owner of Ife, was on the Agidigbo radio. So a lot of people that even came there, you'll be surprised that they are not from that local government. When they heard that they'll be giving money and food items, they'll troop in there. The only way you can regulate is if there's a pre-event registration to reduce the number of participants that we attend the event. And in terms of access and egress, you need to ensure that people that are coming in to access such palliative, they have different access points and different egress points to avoid stampede. And also, in this kind of event, you don't have one or two accessing points to hand over the palliative or what you want to give out to those children. You need to have as many points to reduce a cluster. So to reduce cluster, if you have, for example, now you expected 5,000 children to benefit from this phone fair. So on the average, you're meant to have up to like 50 points, right, where based on how you arrange it, you've categorized them, they can access those points and get what you want to give them.
Right. And Mr. Gugbenro, looking at the school, I don't know how much of an opportunity you've had in ascertaining the lapses using this, this Ibadan incident. Looking at the school, all these were lacking from what you know.
Well, basically, for using the school, for now, the security agencies are carrying out their investigation. But for me, children from fair like this, you need to be very careful and be clear, come up with a clear objective. For fun fair like this, you can actually partner with those schools, and in this local government, you want to target 5,000 children. You can partner with a minimum of 10 schools. Focus on those pupils in those schools. So if you're focusing on those pupils in those schools, you've already regulated the number of people that will partake in the fun fair. So, but in this situation, probably they might have had an agreement with the school management to use the facility, but the school management does not have control on who comes in, because it's not that program is restricted to their students. It was an open program for people to come in and benefit.
Right. I want us to get back to this matter of risk assessment, to take a critical look at it, and how people who are planning to organize whatever the level of event it is, not just for now, but perhaps in the future. Do we just carry out risk assessment on this magnitude or for any event at all? And then when we're even talking about risk assessment, how do you go about it, so to speak? Because some persons might be wondering, what is even this risk assessment that you're talking about?
Well, what is risk assessment? Risk assessment is a planned activity carried out to ascertain the risk or the hazard in any activity. Hazard means what can cause harm or injury. So you carry out the risk. Risk assessment is to identify those hazards, anything that can cause harm or injury in the course of that event. Put a mitigative measure in place. What I mean by mitigative measures, what can prevent that hazard? All right. So if you have put that mitigative measure in place, you now evaluate it and say, is this measure adequate? If it's adequate and is ascertained, then you can now, because for example now, let me take a very close example. If you are working on a site and I as a safety person tick that that site is safe for work, meaning that I've actually done my due diligence. I've carried out the risk assessment. I've seen that all the PPEs are in place, the safety measures are in place, and I'm very certain to a large extent that no harm or injury will be caused to anybody. So now, for me, in this kind of events, I think majority of responsibility lies with government, because I know that if you want to protest, you need to get approval from the police. I think at the local government level and at the state level, there measures should be put in place to ensure that while planning this kind of event, even as an individual or organization or NGO, there are people in the position of authority, like at the local government level or state level, people should get approval. And part of the requirement is that they must submit a detailed risk assessment report for their events to ensure that the what has been stated is addressed strictly to. And during the event, in Lagos State now, there are a lot of measures that have been put in place, even on site, even when you're having events, there are safety measure approval that you need to get from the Lagos State Safety Commission. And even on the day of the event, Safety Commission send their team to ensure that what you have stated in your risk assessment, you adhere strictly to it. Mm-hmm. So these are measures that we can adopt for this kind of events. We are having this kind of event and you want this large number of people, we need to ensure that you have put these measures in place to avoid this kind of incident. Now look at the incident that happened in Port Harcourt in 2022. The program was stated for 2 a.m. For 9 a.m. People are already there as early as 2 a.m. Meaning that the learning point from that is that you are not looking at securing that event place from 7 a.m. in the morning. You are looking at a day before the event to ensure that access and egress to that place is restricted, to ensure that people that are coming in are the registered participants for the event. Like I said earlier, pre-registration is very key. Risk assessment is very key. Emergency response is very key in this kind of event. So who ensure that people put all these things in place before they go on radio to announce that they are doing this kind of program is government. At the local government level, at the state level, measures can be put in place. Additional measures can be put in place to ensure that if you are planning this kind of events and we need to understand that when you are planning an event and you are involving adults, it's different from when you are involving children. You need to ensure that there are minders at that event, at least ratio 1 minder to 10 children, to look after those children, to ensure that while playing or while engaging in the activities at that event, they adhere strictly to the mitigative measures that you have put in place during your risk assessment to ensure that there is no accident or incident during the event.
Right. Mr. Ogugbenro, the government says it's on top of the situation. Certain persons, including the organizers, are said to be in custody as we speak. So what do you think is going to happen now? What are you expecting to find? Even though it's a post-mortem, it's such an unfortunate incident. Lives have been lost. We also have a number in critical condition in the hospital. But moving forward, what are you hoping to see? On the other hand, there's also, you said all this, fine points. You've made all these fine points. But how can government also be proactive? So you've been seeing jingles on TV, on radio. You've been seeing information by persons saying there's going to be an initiative of this magnitude. But can government also, preempt such unfortunate gatherings or such unfortunate incidents from happening by reaching out? Do you see that working or workable?
Thank you very much. This is workable. I always tell people, they'll say that there is no law in Nigeria. There is law in Nigeria. We have adequate law in Nigeria. What we need to work on more is enforcement of all these laws. There is not any, in our constitution, you are not meant to engage in any activity that will pose risk to your life or the life of others. So you are meant to act safely in a responsible manner. All right? So basically now, the laws are there. I think the government needs to do more in terms of sensitization and ensuring that these laws are implemented to the letter. All right? I'll give you an instance now. Tell someone from Oyo State that is coming to Lagos that don't park at the obstruction. We tell you that you don't need to tell me, I know Lagos, if you park, you are in trouble. Because Lagos State government has put measures in place to ensure that these laws are enforced. So we need to use the same energy we use for these traffic laws for other laws too. Most especially event like this that has the potential to cause it to lead to incident that can lead to loss of life. So I think the government needs to do more. We've learned the one that happened in Port Harcourt, the River State government then during the under the administration of Yasom Wike carried out, considered a panel of inquiry, and the report has been sent to government. I think beyond the report, let's try to implement. A lot of reports have been submitted to government during a panel of inquiry from non-governmental organization as regards to safety guidelines. So we should go beyond doing constituting panel, investigating incidents. Let's be proactive. Proactiveness means incident happened in 2022. Another one happened this year. Let's ensure that we all hands are on deck to ensure that people adhere to these laws at the local government level. Fine, they can actually strengthen the local. They can put in more measures at the local government level. All of us cannot come to the states. You want to have an event in Ibadan East local government, get an approval from the local government, their safety team from the local government, and get an approval from the police. So without this approval, if you are doing such events, you are violating the law. So it will actually ensure that people do their due diligence before they go about, no matter how good their intention is. But while doing these things, they don't expose citizens to unnecessary hazard and pain.
Well, some will also say that this incident also x-rays our attitude towards the matters of safety. We do not see reasons to carry out risk assessments, like you mentioned earlier, for anything that we are trying to do. And then we feel that all will go well. There's no need to think about safety in its sense. We know how to manage ourselves and manage issues. Talk to us from that point of view, the matter of our attitude towards safety, entrenching these matters of safety, creating awareness. Is it time where we begin to teach these matters in schools, institutions, and all of it, so as to create the necessary awareness that will ensure that we take safety seriously as we should?
Now, for me, I will tell you that it's extremely necessary for us to put in measures in place to ensure that people are safety conscious. But I will tell you that if you look at UNICEF, most of their programs, they target the adolescents, all right? If you are able to imbibe safety values at minimum of 70% of our adolescents, you rest assured it will actually enhance our safety consciousness. Because when they're in their car with their parents, they will tell their parents, Daddy, don't do this. This is what the safety rule says. Even if they're in a public vehicle, they will still voice out their mind. So if you look, government and private organizations need to put in measures in place to increase that awareness among the adolescents, because they are the backbone of the nation. When you want people to get one information, or you're trying to sell a brand, sell it among the adolescents. It will be faster than a rocket. So what I'm trying to say is that we need to put in a lot of sensitizations at the adolescent level, at the secondary school level. A lot of graduates, ask them some safety rules, or undergraduates. They just focus on their core area. I'm an accountant, I'm an engineer, no, I'm an architect. Safety, I'm not a safety officer. Let's all of us be safety officer, because safety is for all of us. Because for my safety, for your safety, we are all responsible for our safety. So we need to understand that the dynamics of safety, the importance of safety. So government needs to create more awareness. I'm telling you, I've carried out a research on programs that UNICEF organize in Nigeria here. Most of the program is even part of the policy targeting the adolescents, because they're very sure that if you can drive that program among the adolescents, among the young ones, it will drive down, because they will actually, one thing, we are in Africa. I wouldn't want my son or my daughter to correct me on some things. I want to be the role model to my children. Just imagine I'm driving and my son told me that you're not using a seatbelt, it's unsafe.
Right.
I'll be very conscious of that because I wouldn't want my child that is looking up to me as his role model to correct me on such a thing. So even apart from the adolescent level, in our church, in our mosque, let's imbibe programs to sensitize people on safety.
Right.
If a young girl will protect you, let's imbibe safety rules and castigate it down.
So, Mr. Ogungbero, on the flip side, because we are in the festive season, there will be so many gatherings, of this nature. Let's also look at, tips that attendees can imbibe ahead, during, and even after attending large events.
I think, like I said earlier, pre-registration, even if you're having an event, you can have a twin tag. If you're coming with your children, there'll be a twin tag that they'll give to you and your children. When you're exiting that facility, it's only you that can take that children out of the place. You rest assured that there are people that come to event with the purpose of stealing children from that event. But if there's a twin tag where it's only the one that is with the mother and with the son, with the child that can give them exit from that facility, in a way, it will actually reduce that risk of somebody coming there to take a child out. Because when you're in a party or in a gathering during festive period like this, you get carried away with the event and the activities. So that's one, pre-registration. And while we are planning our events, let's ensure that we put first aid measures in place. A lot of us don't even have a first aid kit in our house, and it's very essential because when you're having an event and you're bringing like 100 to 200 people together, you need to have a first aid apparatus on ground. It will be in the event of any medical emergency from any of your guests at the event. And number two is that we need to focus on security. Security is very key. Apart from twin tag for people that come to event with children, we need to be conscious of security when we're planning our events. When you're planning a large event, try and get liaise with the security agencies to give you the required support for traffic management, for security, to ensure that at the end of the event, your event is not tagged as a bad event. Your good intended event is not tagged as a bad event.
All right. Now, the other matter is that moving forward, government has said that it's going to investigate the matter and also ensure that the whole process is transparent and that people are held accountable. From your perspective, what will be accountability with regards to the incident in Ibadan as we speak? And then transparency of this process, what will you be looking for to the government coming out of it? Earlier you had said that it's not enough to have reports alone. So what do you intend to see then beyond the reports?
For me, like I said, investigation will be carried out, and the major key point that all the security agencies will be looking for is what's the causative factor? Where is the laxity? Who is responsible for that laxity? And that person will be held accountable. But beyond that, rest assured, even the ex-wife of Oyo State that organized the program gave this responsibility to some people to manage. Right, and be rest assured that they gave her the assurance that this event will be adequately managed. So beyond the report, the investigation, and all that, I think what will really serve best to honor the life they were lost during this event and some events in the past, like the one I stated that happened in Port Harcourt in 2022, is to ensure that after the investigation, after making everything public, let's put additional measures to ensure that those learning points are implemented to the letter, are enforced during future events to prevent the occurrence of this incident. That is how we can honor the soul of.
All right. We must thank you so much, Taiwo Ogungbero, a safety and security expert, for your time on the program. So much has been said. Again, may the souls of the departed rest in peace. Thank you so much for your time, Taiwo. Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
Right.